Moving next to the Vatican and the big headline tonight about Mother Teresa.
The public imagination is that a personage so tiny should dominate the world.
Mother Teresa was busy, as usual, saving the world. And I mean that quite literally.
Mother Teresa, the heroic figure who embodies compassion and service, dedicated her life to easing the suffering of the impoverished and underprivileged. Her work garnered her international accolades, including the Nobel Peace Prize, and she became a humanitarian figure. After her demise, unexpected disclosures emerged, casting a different light on the beloved nun. Accusations of unethical medical practices, financial mismanagement, and even secret baptisms marred her legacy, generating a vigorous discussion about the genuine nature of her philanthropic efforts. Let's take a look into her life and separate fact from fiction. Early life. Mother Teresa, also known as Angeze Gonshe Boyakshu, was born on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, then part of the Ottoman Empire, and today the capital of North Macedonia. She was baptized the day after she was born and deemed August 27, her true birthday. Angeze, the youngest child of Nicole and Dranafile Boyakshu, her father, who was prominent in Albanian community politics, passed away in 1919 when she was just 8 years old. Angeze was fascinated by stories of missionaries and their activities in Bengal from a young age.
To carry Jesus as the handmaid of the Lord. The moment Jesus came in her life.
By the age of 12, she felt a strong desire to devote herself to religious life. This conviction was strengthened on August 15, 1928, during a visit to Vitina Letnice's Black Madonna shrine. At 18, Angeze left her home to join the Sisters of Loreto at Loreto Abbey in Rathfarnham, Ireland. Her goal was to study English, the language of instruction for the Sisters of Loreto in India, with the hopes of becoming a missionary. She left her family and never saw her mother or sister again. Angeze arrived in India in 1929 and began her novitiate in Darjeeling, located in the lower Himalayas. She immersed herself in Bengali and taught at St. Teresa's school, which was close to her convent. On May 24, 1931, she made her first religious vows. She chose the name Teresa in honor of Thérèse de Lisieux, the patron saint of missionaries, and adopted the Spanish spelling because another nun already had the French variation. Taking her solemn vows on May 14, 1937.
Are you despairing yourself of being able
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Great things will come out of this.
While working as a teacher at the Loreto Convent School in Entally, eastern Calcutta, she was given the title Mother in accordance with Loreto tradition. She devoted over 2 decades to the school, eventually becoming headmistress in 1944. Despite her enjoyment of teaching, she was greatly concerned about Calcutta's persistent poverty, which was aggravated by events such as the Bengal famine of 1943 and the August 1946 Direct Action Day, which ignited rioting between Muslims and Hindus. During a train ride to Darjeeling in 1946, Mother Teresa sensed a strong inner desire to help India's impoverished in Jesus' name. After obtaining permission to leave the school, she began her quest. At 1950, she formed the Missionaries of Charity, which adopted a white sari with 2 blue borders as its characteristic habit. Missionaries of Charity. Mother Teresa began her missionary work with the poor in 1948, wearing a modest white cotton sari with a blue border instead of her typical Loreto uniform. She accepted Indian citizenship and spent many months receiving basic medical training at Holy Family Hospital in Patna before venturing into the filthy circumstances of Calcutta's slums. She started a school in Motihil, Calcutta, as the first step before directly caring for the poor and hungry.
You see, I always feel like this. Many years back, when I picked up the first person.
As 1949 dawned, Mother Teresa's initiatives gained the backing of a group of young women, setting the framework for a new religious community dedicated to assisting the poorest among the poor. Her efforts quickly attracted the notice of Indian officials, including the Prime Minister. However, Mother Teresa stated in her diary that her first year was fraught with difficulties. With few resources, she resorted to begging for food and supplies. Throughout this toil, she struggled with doubt, loneliness, and the temptation to withdraw to the safe bounds of convent life. Despite these difficulties, in October 7, 1950, she received Vatican approval for the diocesan community that would eventually become the Missionaries of Charity.
No one is more unwanted than their unborn child.
In her vision, this congregation would address the needs of the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the crippled, the blind, the lepers, all those people who feel unwanted, unloved, and uncared for throughout society. People who have become a burden to society and are shunned by everyone. Mother Teresa opened her first hospice in 1952 with assistance from Calcutta government. She transformed an abandoned Hindu temple into the Kalighat home for the dying, offering solace to the poor and calling it Kalighat, the home of the pure heart. Residents were given medical care and the opportunity to leave this world with dignity.
Only we have to get land for them to work on. Can't they?
Another thing is whether you want one big thing.
According to their individual faiths, Muslims received Quranic passages, Hindus received Ganges water, and Catholics received last rites. Mother Teresa said, "Is for people who lived like animals to die like angels, loved and wanted." Her love for leprosy patients led her to construct Shanti Nagar, a hospice dedicated to their care. The Missionaries of Charity broadened their reach by opening leprosy clinics around Calcutta, providing needed medical care, dressings, and nutrition. Concurrently, the organization began housing an increasing number of homeless children. Mother Teresa established Nirmala Shishu Bhavan, the Children's Home of the Immaculate Heart, in 1955 to care for orphans and abandoned youth. The congregation's impact grew, resulting in new members and generous gifts. By the 1960s, the Missionaries of Charity had set up hospices, orphanages, and leper colonies throughout India. Mother Teresa then crossed national boundaries, establishing a mission in Venezuela in 1965, accompanied by 5 sisters. Houses were built in Italy, Tanzania, and Austria in 1968. Throughout the 1970s, the congregation expanded its influence by establishing missions and foundations in the United States, as well as many other countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe.
And he says, he is not so heavy, he's my brother. And I hope you will learn that.
Criticism on her charity. Despite her saintly reputation, Mother Teresa faced criticism, particularly over her missionary work and the Missionaries of Charity's operations. One of the most common complaints leveled against Mother Teresa and her organization was their mismanagement of significant financial resources that were ostensibly set aside for charity purposes. Critics contend that, despite getting generous money, they failed to provide adequate assistance to individuals in need. It is critical to emphasize that this was not just seen as volunteer activity, but as divine service, with large monies dedicated to what was believed to be God's work. However, skeptics claimed that, despite the influx of cash, the organization's administration was weak, resulting in insufficient treatment. Reports appeared of insufficient pain relief, understaffed medical facilities, and unprepared assistants incapable of handling complex cases. Despite these charges, Mother Teresa retained a renowned image, especially among Western observers who mostly experienced her through media portrayals. Donors frequently saw their contributions as virtuous acts in God's eyes, anticipating potential spiritual advantages on Judgment Day, a concept similar to the medieval practice of indulgence. Critics, like Christopher Hitchens, compared Mother Teresa's acts to selling indulgences, accusing her of putting religion propagation ahead of genuine assistance to the poor. Hitchens, in particular, contended that Mother Teresa's primary goal was not to alleviate poverty, but to advance Catholicism. He described an alleged interaction in which Mother Teresa claimed that her major goal was not to help the impoverished, but to spread Catholic dogma. Some detractors believe that her emphasis on religious conversion diverted attention away from tackling the core causes of poverty and alleviating its related suffering, damaging her legacy by giving the impression that she prioritized evangelism over humanitarian help. Others chastised the Missionaries of Charity for alleged mismanagement, claiming that their facilities lacked effective governance and failed to adopt long-term poverty alleviation methods such as education and women's empowerment. A significant example of such criticism came in 2010, long after Mother Teresa's death, when a Forbes journalist visited a Missionaries of Charity facility and observed widespread skepticism and disillusionment among volunteers and onlookers. The report highlighted the organization's opposition to change, which resulted in tight obedience to Mother Teresa's directions, often at the price of sufficient training and procedure compliance. Despite their best intentions, volunteers apparently failed to manage the organization's financial framework and effectively use its resources, resulting in instances of neglect and inadequate care. disturbing testimonies emerged, including examples of medical malpractice and incompetence, such as the reuse of old needles, the distribution of expired prescriptions, and the inability to provide necessary care, which resulted in preventable deaths. Despite these disclosures, Mother Teresa allegedly resisted criticism and maintained conventional techniques, preventing attempts at substantial transformation. International work. Mother Teresa's humanitarian impact stretched far beyond India's boundaries, as she was fluent in 5 languages: Bengali, Albanian, Serbian, English, and Hindi. Her linguistic diversity aided her involvement in worldwide philanthropy, helping her to navigate a variety of cultural environments. Mother Teresa set off on a painful journey with 4 of her sisters in 1971, during the turmoil of the Troubles in Belfast. Having witnessed the chaotic situations personally, she called for a continuous effort to alleviate suffering. However, her proposal sparked debate, causing unease among senior clerics who urged for missionary work abroad. Despite the positive welcome from the locals, Mother Teresa and her sisters left abruptly in 1973 due to external pressures. Mother Teresa demonstrated extraordinary courage and compassion during the terrible siege of Beirut in 1982, arranging a temporary ceasefire between opposing forces. Despite the pandemonium of the battle zone, she worked with the Israeli army and Palestinian rebels to evacuate 37 children besieged in a frontline hospital. She traveled difficult territory with Red Cross workers to safeguard the safety of the young patients, demonstrating her steadfast devotion to humanitarian relief. As Eastern Europe saw seismic political shifts in the late 1980s, Mother Teresa grasped the opportunity to expand her outreach to communist countries that had previously rejected the Missionaries of Charity. Undeterred by criticism for her strong opposition to abortion and divorce, she started on a number of projects, emphasizing the need for tenacity in the face of adversity. Her diligent efforts extended across geographical boundaries, assisting earthquake victims in Armenia and radiation victims at Chernobyl. Mother Teresa returned to Albania in 1991, marking an emotional homecoming. She launched a Missionaries of Charity Brothers house in Tirana, underlining her commitment to helping the poor and marginalized in her home country. By 1996, the Missionaries of Charity had built a vast network of 517 missions in over 100 countries. What began as a small group of 12 sisters has grown into a global movement involving thousands of dedicated individuals serving the poorest of the poor in 500 centers throughout the world. The congregation's reach spread to the United States, where the first Missionaries of Charity home was created in the South Bronx neighborhood of New York City, indicating its long-term impact on a global scale. Did she want money? The anecdotes surrounding the Missionaries of Charity's operations create a negative image of their actions, raising widespread concerns about their effectiveness and ethical integrity under Mother Teresa's leadership. Despite being entrusted with significant financial resources, the disparity between the funds available and the quality of care provided raises serious concerns, emphasizing the critical need for charitable organizations, including those with prestigious reputations, to maintain transparency and accountability through open oversight. Critics argue that the institutions Mother Teresa oversaw were not hospitals, but rather primitive residences for the terminally ill and impoverished. According to some skeptics, the primary goal was to provide basic care and security rather than comprehensive medical therapy. Questions arise as to why the organization did not prioritize employing persons with more medical experience, especially given their substantial financial resources. Furthermore, worries remain about the lack of rehabilitation services for people who had healed and were ready to leave the facilities, resulting in a cycle of poverty and dependence akin to revolving doors in prison systems. Furthermore, skeptics have raised the issue of the philanthropic industrial complex, claiming that Mother Teresa's organization unintentionally reinforced structures that perpetuate poverty rather than alleviate it. Reports of mismanagement and anomalies in gift allocation raise concerns about the organization's ethics and effectiveness. For example, a 1991 German study found that only a small portion of contributed monies reached their intended beneficiaries, leaving the destiny of the other funds unknown. Speculation lingers that these unaccounted riches may have made their way to the Vatican, particularly after Mother Teresa passed away. Dr. Arup Chatterjee, a prominent critic familiar with the realities of poverty in Kolkata, has urged for extensive inquiry into Mother Teresa's legacy. His direct experience living in the slums lends credibility to his calls for an investigation into the organization's operations and overall impact. His views call into question Mother Teresa's enormous adulation, showing disparities between her spotless reputation and the realities he experienced. Chatterjee's investigations into what he calls a cult of suffering led him to gather accounts from those who had worked closely with the Missionaries of Charity. Their testimonies helped shape his book, Mother Teresa, The Final Verdict, which examines the organization's actions and questions the extent of its assistance to the poor. While not everyone agrees with Chatterjee's views, his perspective provides vital insights into the intricacies of Mother Teresa's legacy. His disclosures provoke critical thought on the nature of altruistic activities and the importance of ensuring genuine impact and accountability in humanitarian endeavors. Furthermore, news about considerable monies kept in Mother Teresa's name by the Vatican Bank raises new issues about the financial scope of her humanitarian efforts. The existence of such a large account emphasizes the huge financial consequences of her legacy, escalating disputes over the Missionaries of Charity's activities and the broader ramifications of their mission. Mother Teresa's actions and intentions. Mother Teresa's reputation as a beacon of compassion was tarnished by accusations of racism, with her being portrayed as a white savior figure who allegedly felt sorrow for those judged incapable of saving themselves and relied on her charity. Despite the praise she got, opponents claim that her actions promoted a simplistic narrative that failed to address the core reasons for widespread poverty and misery. Critics argue that Western media's excessive coverage of Mother Teresa reinforced a narrative based on white privilege and hate. Dr. Arup Chatterjee, who conducted considerable research on Mother Teresa's legacy, investigated the realities of poverty and hardship, questioning the dominant story of her saintly virtue. He scrupulously documented his discoveries, which demonstrated a dramatic contrast between Mother Teresa's public image and the brutal realities he faced. Chatterjee's research shed light on Mother Teresa's personal disgust at the situations she witnessed in destitute communities, where she mourned dirt, senseless deaths, and unauthorized baptisms on deathbeds. His analysis also revealed contradictions between her claims to have saved tens of thousands of Indians and the minimal cash recompense he proposed for her Nobel Peace Prize. Furthermore, he discovered that the Missionaries of Charity's efforts frequently fell short in providing vital aid, such as access to food and water, when compared to other organizations operating in Kolkata. Despite these findings, Mother Teresa's celebrity skyrocketed, spurred by constant media coverage that thrust her into the international spotlight. Politicians sought photo chances with her, and even shady characters relished the opportunity to associate with her for their own gain. Bill Clinton even bestowed honorary citizenship on her, describing her as a light of hope for realizing the goals of a just and good society. Chatterjee credits much of Mother Teresa's fame to the sensationalist inclinations of the U.S. media, which propelled her to near ubiquitous status on television screens around the world. However, he contends that this exaltation concealed the ongoing condition of the most vulnerable, who continued to suffer despite Mother Teresa's universal adulation. When questioned by the New York Times, Chatterjee reaffirmed his observations, including distressing details like dirty blankets washed in the same wash basin as dishes. He noted incremental gains, such as the availability of doctors for the sick, but emphasized the ongoing difficulties faced by people in need of true aid. Despite lingering doubts, Mother Teresa was canonized as a saint in 2016, with many praising her alleged miraculous recovery of a man suffering from a brain tumor. However, Chatterjee's objections remain valid, calling into question the unquestioning acceptance of such tales and emphasizing broader questions of dignity and justice that are often disregarded in the hurry to canonize a revered figure. Media hate towards Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa's associations with dubious figures, including neo-fascists in Italy and dictators in Argentina, throw doubt on her charity efforts. Her associations with those ultimately convicted of atrocities, such as Jean-Claude Duvalier in Haiti, called into question her moral judgment. She also received financial backing from Charles Keating, a known scam artist, and apparently traveled on his private jet, raising questions about her financial dealings and access to superior medical treatment. Despite questions about her connections and money, Mother Teresa's alleged miracles continued to captivate believers and skeptics alike. NPR, among others, praised her posthumous sainthood, citing her reported miraculous healings. However, detractors noted that such statements lacked factual basis and called her supernatural abilities into question. Mother Teresa's private writings revealed a complicated inner struggle marked by thoughts of emptiness and despair, which contrasted with her public image as a paragon of virtue. Despite her personal reservations, she remained committed to conservative religious principles, such as opposition to abortion and women's reproductive rights. Nonetheless, Mother Teresa's reputation survived, supported by her humanitarian endeavors and alleged miracles, such as healing the blind. Despite skepticism, she was canonized as Saint Teresa of Calcutta to honor her legacy of service to the impoverished and marginalized. Her transformation from convent instructor to defender of the poor was marked by a divine summons: secret baptisms. Despite Mother Teresa's continuous commitment to alleviating suffering, her methods and motivations were scrutinized and criticized from numerous angles. Renowned polemicist Christopher Hitchens was one of her most ardent critics, calling her a hell's angel and implying that her philanthropic endeavors lacked medical skill. In the hospices run by her order, allegations appeared of patients enduring agonizing pain without adequate medical intervention, instead receiving religious comfort. The lack of educated medical professionals exacerbated these problems, resulting in misdiagnoses and worsening the misery of those affected. One of the most disputed claims leveled against Mother Teresa was that members of her order performed secret baptisms on dying people, mainly Hindus or Muslims, without their knowledge. Hitchens and others claimed that these covert baptisms were carried out to encourage Catholic conversions, implying that Mother Teresa prioritized religious proselytization over genuine humanitarian relief. "I'm not a social worker," she reportedly said. "I do it for Christ and the Church," Hitchens said, portraying her as more interested in propagating Catholicism than helping the poor. Critics claimed that Mother Teresa's approach to suffering bordered on advocacy, as she allegedly encouraged destitute people to accept their misery while soliciting gifts from the wealthy. However, numerous voices of opposition questioned Hitchens' story, accusing him of cherry-picking statements and neglecting to back up his claims with concrete proof. They contended that Mother Teresa's efforts were motivated by genuine compassion and a desire to alleviate suffering, rather than a deliberate strategy of religious conversion. Furthermore, some accused Mother Teresa of promoting the white savior mentality, presenting her as a modern-day colonizer attempting to save destitute brown communities. In today's social media-driven world, such portrayals would almost certainly be condemned. Critics who made these claims received their own response, with detractors questioning their dedication to assisting the marginalized and labeling them as hypocritical armchair critics. Exorcism and demise. Mother Teresa's health issues in her latter years demonstrated the vulnerability of even the most venerated figures. Despite her deteriorating physical condition, she maintained an unrelenting commitment to assisting the marginalized until she passed away. Mother Teresa suffered a heart attack in 1983 while visiting Rome to meet with Pope John Paul II, signaling the beginning of long-term health issues. Following subsequent heart difficulties in 1989, a pacemaker was implanted to regulate her heartbeat. Her resolve was tested again in 1991, when a severe case of pneumonia in Mexico exacerbated her cardiac problems, compelling her to retire as leader of the Missionaries of Charity. However, in a secret ballot, the sisters of the congregation chose to keep her at the helm, demonstrating their steadfast faith in her leadership. Mother Teresa suffered another setback in 1996, when she fell and shattered her collarbone. Just months later, she battled malaria and heart failure, eventually requiring heart surgery as her condition deteriorated. During these physical challenges, Archbishop Henry Sebastian de Souza of Calcutta, worried for Mother Teresa's well-being, authorized a priest to perform an exorcism with her permission, fearing she was under spiritual attack. Mother Teresa made the tough choice to step down as head of the Missionaries of Charity on March 13, 1997, due to rising health concerns. She had fostered the organization with steadfast dedication. Her retirement marked the end of an era defined by unwavering dedication to the poor and marginalized. Mother Teresa's death on September 5, 1997, was mourned by people from all walks of life, secular and religious alike. Her remains lay in rest in Calcutta for a week, allowing countless people to pay their respects to the woman who had dedicated her life to serving the poor. The Indian government gave her a state funeral, recognizing her tremendous impact on the lives of the impoverished, regardless of religion. Cardinal Secretary of State Angelo Sodano gave a moving eulogy at Mother Teresa's funeral, focusing on her selfless devotion to humanity. Her death echoed across national borders, prompting tributes from world leaders and luminaries. Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif described her as a rare and unique individual whose lifelong commitment to compassion and service embodied humanity's best aspirations. Former United Nations Secretary General Javier Pérez de Cuellar praised Mother Teresa's lasting influence, praising her as the embodiment of peace in a turbulent world. Her life's work cut across geographical and ideological boundaries, inspiring countless people to embrace the values of compassion and unity. Mother Teresa's journey from humble origins in North Macedonia to global fame as a symbol of hope and compassion exemplifies the transformational power of service. A lasting legacy. Mother Teresa's exceptional life was punctuated by numerous accolades and honors, demonstrating her enormous impact on humanity. From the Padma Shri in 1962 to the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for International Understanding in 1969, India recognized her unrivaled commitment to the poor. Her distinguished career was further enriched by various honors, including the Bharat Ratna in 1980, India's highest civilian honor, which recognized her extraordinary services to society. The Indian government issued a commemorative 5 rupee currency to honor Mother Teresa's unrelenting compassion on the 100th anniversary of her birth. The coin represents the small amount she had when she arrived in India. President Pratibha Patil eloquently defined her legacy, characterizing her distinctive white sari with a blue border as a light of hope for the oppressed and abandoned across the country. Mother Teresa's influence extended far beyond the Indian subcontinent. From receiving the Ramon Magsaysay Award for Peace and International Understanding in 1962 to being praised by Pope Paul and the Catholic world, she rose to international prominence. Her brilliant presence in the public mind was bolstered by distinctions such as the Peckham and Terrace Award in 1976 and the coveted Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. Mother Teresa's indomitable spirit crossed national lines, winning her recognition from governments and organizations all around the world. From the Order of Merit in the United Kingdom to honorary citizenship in the United States, her tireless advocacy for the marginalized struck a profound chord with worldwide audiences. However, disputes concerning her affiliations with problematic characters such as Charles Keating and Robert Maxwell highlighted the complexity of her humanitarian legacy. Universities in India and the West awarded her various honorary degrees in recognition of her remarkable humanitarian contribution. Her mesmerizing personality and profound insights attracted audiences all around the world, propelling her to the top ranks of Gallup's yearly polls. Mother Teresa's acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize emphasized the universality of suffering, as well as the need for love and compassion in promoting peace. Her timeless message resonated across countries, motivating millions to embrace the values of selflessness and compassion. Despite the difficulties and accusations that have dogged her reputation, Mother Teresa's unrelenting commitment to the marginalized and underprivileged continues to shine as a beacon of hope and compassion in an adversity-filled world. Her legacy is a poignant reminder of love's transforming power in reducing human suffering and creating a more compassionate world. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.